trust you in the eye of the storm. You remain in control in the middle of the war. You got my soul. You alone are the anchor. When the sails are torn, your love surrounds me in the eye of the storm. You remain in control in the middle of the war. You got my soul. You alone are the anchor. When the sails are torn, your love surrounds me in the eye of the storm.
We're going to look at Psalms 23 this morning. And then we're going to look at a lot of other verses. Shar accused me, Dayton, of trying to keep up with you in the number of slides today. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Let's go ahead and go to our Lord. Our Father, as we come in the name of Christ, we just ask that you lead us and guide us. Lord, be able to take this and apply it into our lives this morning. But we thank you for who you are. We thank you for what you've done for us. And Lord, this morning, as we look upon your word, we ask that you lead us and guide us. We're asking in your name. Amen. Shar, go to my one point this morning. Verse 4. And it's a one-point sermon, by the way, this morning. It's not a three-point sermon. It's not correct in that way. It's a one-point sermon this morning. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. I love this verse. And I love what it has to say. Because as you look at this verse, I want you to notice several things in this verse. God does not take us out of the valley. God doesn't say, okay, you're not going to go through that valley. He doesn't take us out of the valley. He is there in the valley with us. And that's a big difference. And as I look at this verse, David is saying, yes, I'm in that valley. Yea, though I walk through that valley, I'm not going to fear anything. I love what he says there. I'm not going to fear anything because you're with me. Because you are there. I have nothing to fear. Now I'm going to be like my grandfather for a moment this morning, and I'm going to start in the book of Genesis. And I'm going to go forward. So Shar, go to Genesis for me. I need the screen to see what I'm talking about this morning. Because as you look at what he says, I want you to notice some things. He says this, behold, I am with you and will keep you. Just stop to think about that. He is making a promise here. God is making a promise to some people in Genesis about his position with them. And notice he says, behold, I am with you and will keep you. Now how great that is to think that our God is with us no matter what the situation is that we're going through. He doesn't leave us. He doesn't say, well, good luck to us, or there you are. He is there with us. As I said earlier this morning, God's not a respecter of persons. James tells us that God doesn't look at one person and say, well, he's more important than another person. God looks at people and says, all the same. They need Christ. We need him. Wherever you go, this land, for I will not leave you until I've done what I have spoken to you. I love that. What has God spoken to us? Think about that for a moment. What has God spoken to us? God has told us that we are going to dwell with Him forever.
Amen.
God has told us that we have a home in heaven. I like what He says in the book of John, where He says, I go to prepare a place for you. Excuse me, now where I am, there you may be also. Has that happened yet? No. So where is God? Is He in heaven waiting for us? Or is He here with us? No. He says He's here with us. I will not leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you. He will not leave us. I love that. Shall go on to my next verse, if you will. This is in the book of Deuteronomy. Notice we went from Genesis, and now we're going to go forward to the next verse. Be strong and of good courage. I love that. Be strong and of good courage. Oh, the world may not like us. The world may not think that we're very good. As a matter of fact, I heard some politician talk about us this week, and I thought, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But that's all right. I want you to notice what he says. Be strong and of good courage. Why can I be strong and of good courage? Because I have God on my side. Think about what he says in Romans. He says, if God be for us, who can be against us? And I love that verse. Because God is for us. So I can be strong, and strong not in who I am, not in what I can do, but I can be strong in God and of good courage because He's with me. I love the rest of that verse. Do not fear them or be afraid of them, for the Lord your God, He is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. You know something similar in these two verses so far this morning? Excuse me. He will not leave us nor forsake us. He goes with us. I remember telling that to a young teenage girl one time, and she said, uh-oh. But how great that is, that God goes with us. He never leaves us. He's always there. Shall we go on to the next verse, if you will? Proverbs. Look at what that verse says. We have a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Look at that. I don't know, it says a man who has friends must himself be friendly, and that's probably goes without saying. But there's a friend who sticks closer than a brother. I want to give an illustration, and I'm not sure I should with my mom here, but I'm going to anyway. We would be on the school bus coming home. I think Mom used to take aspirin or Alka-Seltzer or something before we got home. But we'd be on the school bus coming home, and we'd be fighting amongst ourselves. That was the way we always did things. And then somebody would join one side or the other. And that was a mistake. Because then they not just had the one brother against them, they had all the brothers against them. Because we stood together no matter what. And Mom, we get home, Mom would have had her aspirin or her Alka-Seltzer or whatever it was. And I think that's the way she planned on the bus coming home. But the idea is we stood together, regardless. Christ sticks closer. Christ is there even when we don't know He's there in our heart or in our mind. He is one that sticks closer than that brother. And I think about that verse so often as I look at it. God Himself defends us. God Himself supports us. God Himself cares for us. I often think about Saul on the road to Damascus. this to him. Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? Not why do you persecute the church. Not why do you persecute my people. But why do you persecute me? We have a God who is our friend, who sticks closer than a brother. And we're going to get to that friend in a little while, but Char, go on to my next verse, if you will. And have you ever looked at this verse? Have you ever thought about this verse? But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. I look at that verse, and there's some great things in that verse. We could spend an whole hour on that one verse. But I want us to think about it in this way. Those that wait upon the Lord, they do not go out in their own strength. They do not go out in their own ability. They do not go out in what they can do. They go out in what God can do. And well, let me ask you a question. What can God not do when it comes to His ability? What is too hard for God to do?
Nothing.
And that's the correct answer. There is nothing too hard for my God. So if we are going out in God's name, and we are representing God, what is too hard for us to do? Through Jesus Christ. And the answer to that is nothing. And I love that answer, by the way, because we don't go out in our own strength. If you read Psalms 40 before this, those that go out in their own strength, they fail. They fall apart. They have all kinds of problems. But they that wait upon the Lord, they that say, okay, we're going through something. We're going through a problem. We're going through a difficulty. We're going through some other things. Doesn't matter. We wait upon God. And we depend upon Him. And no matter what happens, no matter what that might be, look at what it says they do. They mount up with wings like eagles. I love watching an eagle fly. It doesn't expend any energy. Run and not be weary. I beat JJ in a race yesterday. A foot race. I'll tell you something, I was weary afterwards. He said I cheated. But we will run in Christ and not be weary. Walk and not faint. I have an ankle that bothers me every now and then, and it quits. And I just end up going down for a little bit. But in Christ, that doesn't happen. In Christ, that won't take place because He holds us up. He keeps us up. And I love that verse as He says, wait on God. Because He's the one whose strength that we need. Sure, go on to my next verse, if you will. And notice what it has to say. If Shar can get to my next verse. Okay? Fear not. Get where I can read again. Fear not, I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. How does he start this verse? Fear not. What do we have to fear in God? What do we have to fear? What can God not take care of? What do I have to say, okay, God, you can't do this, so I have to do it. So I have something to fear. Now, I used to be this way. If I didn't have something to worry about, I was worried, and I might have forgotten what I was supposed to be worried about. That's not the way to be. either, by the way. Fear not. Give it to God. Give it to Him. Pastor, how can you sleep at night with all these things going on? Well, it's in God's hands. I don't have to worry about it. Don't be dismayed. Depression, discouragement should not be in the Christian vocabulary. Because Christians should always be able to turn to God and say to God, I have you with me. What do I have to be discouraged about? What do I have to be depressed about? What do I have that you just simply can't take care of? I will uphold you. I will help you. I will uphold you. A promise from my God. That He is there to help. That He is there to lift us up. That He is there to hold us with His righteous right hand. Sorry, Shar, it's not left-handedness, it's right-handedness. The strong hand of God. There to hold us up. Go on to the next verse, if you will, Shar. I want you to see just the last part of this verse. We've been looking at the Old Testament, haven't we? We've been seeing what God's been saying in the Old Testament. And I've heard people say, well, that's just the Old Testament. My grandfather used to say, well, that's just the New Testament. Yeah. But I want you to notice what he says. Lo, I am with you. How often? And how long? I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Amen. When is God going to leave you? When is the Holy Spirit going to desert you? When are you not going to be able to call upon God? When are you not going to be able to say, God, I need your help? Lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Always, God is with us. Shall we go to the next slide, if you will. And I love this verse because I am a friend of God. With friends like that, my enemies better look out. Think about that for a moment. You are a friend of God. I've no longer called you servants, for a servant doesn't know what his master is doing. But I have called you friends. For all things I have heard from my Father I have made known unto you. I have called you friends. And that's important. He doesn't call us slaves or servants, whichever translation you have there. That's what the Greek word means. He didn't call us a slave or a servant in this point. He said, you my friend. I love that. Friend of God. What's a friend do? Well, let's think about that for a moment. We play a game, and I really don't like the game. But we all play the game. How are you? I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. We all play that game. I really don't like that game. I asked my director of missions, not the one who's sitting here this morning, but one back in New Mexico, I asked him how he was. And he began to tell me how he was doing. And he stopped and said, you're really listening. I said, that's what we should do. That's who we are. It's not a game. And God doesn't say, how are you? And we say, fine. And then he goes on. He wants to know. Why? Because he's my friend. I've heard people say, well, it won't do any good to complain. Nobody listens anyway. God would. You know why? Because he's interested in it. He's interested in how we feel. He's interested in what we're going through. He is our friend. He wants to know. else do you need if you're a friend of God? Nobody really. He's my friend. He's yours too, if you know him. He's our friend. Sorry, go on to the next slide, if you will. How does this relate? Come boldly to that throne of grace, that we might obtain mercy and find grace and help in time of need. How does this relate? We'll take a look at it. He's our friend. He's with us. He's there all the time. And he says he wants to hear from us. God, I'm sorry, I hope I'm not bothering you right now. And, if you have time, I have a prayer request to give to you. Is that how he says to come to his throne? Boldly. Boldly. To come to his throne and say, God, I have a problem. God, I need help. And to expect him to hear it, because he says he's going to. Expect him to do something about it, because he says he's going to.
Amen.
Notice what he says. Come to that throne of grace boldly, that we might obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. That's a promise of an answer to prayer. That's a promise that God says, you come to this throne boldly, you come and you ask, and you're going to get an answer. I want you to notice he doesn't say the same thing he didn't say to David. He didn't say, come to that throne of grace in time of need, and I'll take you out of it. He didn't say to David, when you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, come to me and I'll take you out of it. What he said was, I am with you in that valley of the shadow of death. What he says is, he will send mercy to help in time of need. I like what Paul says. He says, I know how to be abound, I know how to be abased. In other words, I know how to have money, I know how to be poor. He says, I have learned in whatsoever state I am in, therewith to be content. I learned whatsoever state I am in, to be content. And then he concludes that thought with this, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. What he is saying is, he's saying, God didn't leave me when I was poor. Nor did he leave me when I was rich. God didn't leave me whenever I was hurting. And God didn't leave me when I had everything. I've learned that if I am poor, I can do that through Jesus Christ. I've learned that if I am rich, I can do that through Jesus Christ. I've learned that if I am healthy, I can do that through Jesus Christ. I've learned that if I'm not healthy, and as I get older, that's more and more, I can do that through Jesus Christ. I can do all things, rich, poor, whatever it might be, through Jesus Christ. Because I can go to that throne of grace, and I can find help in time of need. Shar goes to the last verse. Cast all your care upon him, for he cares for you. We don't do this enough. I want you to notice some things in this verse. Cast all. God, I can take care of these. You can take care of those. God, I've got it all figured out on this problem, but this one, not so much. So yeah, I'll give you this one. Is that what he says to do? What's he saying? How many problems how many to cast to God? All of them. And I look at this verse, and see some things in here that is amazing to me. He cares for you. God cares about what we go through. God cares about the problems that we have. God cares. And I've heard people say, well, if he cares, why doesn't he just fix it? He could. But then would we be able to say with Paul, I've learned, whatsoever state I am in, there to be content. I've learned to trust in God. If you just fix everything. He cares. Char, if you would, go back to Psalms 23. That verse we started. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod, your staff, they comfort. As I go through that valley of the shadow of death, as I go through whatever hard times might be in front of me, as I go through difficult situations, I turn to God. That's what the psalmist says. Can we say the same thing? That we turn to God. Shall I go back to Peter, if you will? He says, cast all your care upon him, for he cares for you. Do you have care this morning? Do you have problems this morning? There's something in your life or in your mind that you're saying, I don't know the answer to, or I think I know the answer to, but maybe God has a better answer. We have cares to cast upon him, and he wants us to do just that. Let us go ahead. Our Father, as we come to you in the name of Christ, we just ask that you'll be with us as we come to this time of invitation. Lord, we pray if there's any decision that needs to be made today, that today would be that day. Lord, if there's cares and burdens that we are carrying, let us know that you are with us. And Lord, let us give them to you. Lord, we thank you for who you are. In your name we pray. Amen. As we stand, as we sing our hymn of invitation, is there any cares that you need to cast to God? Any care you need to give to God? Now's a great time. Or any other decision you need to make this morning as we stand and as we sing. Bless you.
I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. No one go with me.
Stop here for a second. Joe's come to join the church by statement. He's accepted Christ and was baptized by immersion in Cottage Grove Bible Church. You all know him. You've talked to him. And so this is kind of an official business meeting at this point. So is there a motion that we would accept him as a member? Karen, you make that motion. Any opposed to that? There's a second back there. All in favor, say amen.
Amen.
Anybody opposed to it, see me later.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you can welcome into the church in just
Welcome, Joe.
Let's sing there.
Though none go with me, I still will follow. Though none go with me, I still will follow. Though none go with me, I still will follow. No turning back, no turning The world behind me, the cross before me. The world behind me, the cross before me. The world behind me, the cross before me. No turning back, no turning back. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. Though none go with me, I still will follow. Though none go with me, I still will follow. Though none go with me, I still will follow. No turning back, no turning back.
Lois has come asking for prayer for her granddaughter. And she's asked that if you all would just come up here and join her and pray together with her. So please, as we sing the next verse, just come up and surround.
My cross I'll carry till I see Jesus. My cross I'll carry till I see Jesus. My cross I'll carry till I see Jesus. No turning back, no turning back.
We're going to go ahead, Lois, we're going to cast this care to God. Our Father, as we come to you in the name of Christ, Lord, we know how heavy a burden this is upon Lois and upon Mike. And Lord, we know that she needs Christ. And she needs your love. And Lord, this morning we ask for the strength for Lois and Mike. We ask that you would just uphold them in your mighty right hand, as you say. But Lord, we also bring Maya before you. And Lord, we ask for her salvation, her deliverance from darkness. And Lord, we ask that you would just intervene in this situation. And Lord, we thank you for your ability and your power. In your name we pray. Amen. You all may be seated. Usually when it's a meeting of this nature and you decide to introduce the director of missions, the church would think the pastor's leaving or something of that nature. I want to assure you, even though Jim is going to come as our director of missions and is going to open the meeting, I'm not going anywhere. So, Jim, if you would come at this time. Lois, we will continue to keep going.